Attack on Titan Season 4 Episode 4. Has Mappa improved? Or was it due to Eren fricking Jaeger? So what's up guys, Foxen here. Attack on Titan manga comparison time. Really, such a beloved episode by most people. Was it the smoother pacing? Was it fans getting a piece of Pieck? Just imagine what some Ackerman abs could accomplish. So go ahead and also smash that like and subscribe. Let's rage to 1 million. Yeah, we're nowhere near that. Anyway, episode 4 titled From One Hand to Another, which is the same title as chapter 97. Hello Reiner. In the anime, you have this veteran warrior looking much thinner and worn out. Unlike the manga counterpart, anime Reiner doesn't have an odd, surprised look on his mug anymore. For Mr. Freedom entrusting his mail to Falco, the anime really fully fleshed out the scene. The manga version was super brief. Mostly speech bubbles was a glimpse of Hobo Eren. Then for Falco at the red mailbox, the anime no longer has a strong emphasis at the letter dropping to the bottom. I will point out that the manga focused on this since it was the end of the chapter. For an anime cut, as Falco was delivering the letter, you did get a single panel that showed Eren's bro smoking out. He was chatting on the phone with somebody. Depending on what they do with Zeke, they could easily flash back to this later in the anime. Next up, meeting with the Tybur family. The anime skipped out on this specific shot of the Hilo statue outside. The season 4 trailer did include this. In front of it was someone that looked like Willie from behind, admiring the great Hilos. Although I did search later on, you never actually do see Willie with his longer coat. Could it have been the stallion? Who knows, I might be overthinking it could have been some rando. Anyway, for the Tybur family personal guards, they've really been cleaned up for the anime. They got the red uniform and a much more distinct look. Getting to Mr. Tybur, Willie making his anime debut, or like some of you are calling him, Blonde Kakashi. For the actual Tybur family, the anime did clean this up too. From the lady on the left, the senior Tyburs, and even the maid. They no longer look like a polished sketch. The anime also changed up the two bottom kids instead running now, compared to making that cake mess. There is a bonus of the three tipping over towards the end. Anyway, getting into the private discussion, the anime removed almost a full page. Willie described how the Tybur family rarely makes public appearances. The actual identity of the Warhammer Titan has only been revealed among a select few within the top ranks of Marley. Mog has concluded that the leader of this headquarters was likely among those who knew. He did point out how it was strange that his leader left on a short notice earlier this morning. He then combined that with the sudden Tybur family visit, to which he was pretty much suggesting that Willie had arranged all of this, that Willie had wanted to meet him. Willie in the anime really just cut out all the BS and straight up confirms the Warhammer Titan was among them. This gave you a new anime scene of the family, allowing you to speculate a little bit. Taking a look at the Great Hilo statue, the actual anime version, no surprise, is richer in detail than the trailer shot. You will notice that the anime version has updated Hilos to posing with his jaw down. Moving over to the Marley discussion, anime Willie confirmed that the Tybur family was in control, and they had given freedom to Marley to act. Here's a cutout chunk. In the manga, Willie clarified that it was its predecessors that allowed this freedom. It was almost as if Willie had seen Marley going down this path himself. Along with the passed down Warhammer Titan power came the passed down memories. The Tybur family simply stood idly by as Marley forced Eldians into a cage. Watching over Marley over the years had been the role of the Tybur family. Willie then went on to mention the age of the Titans passing by. Willie brought up how there had been a noticeable movement from Paradise Island. In the anime, Willie mentioned he planned to reveal everything in the upcoming festival. The anime skipped over how Willie was riding all his hopes on that moment. Next up, Pieck ready for some action. Oh yeah, the previous Pieck scene now revived this episode. I know, Pieck's cake is making you guys go wild. Funny cause I never seen this much love pre-anime. Up close, anime Pieck was made into waifu, instead of giving off that creepyish ring vibe from the manga. Anime Porco now looks super shocked, instead of perhaps seeming hot and flustered. Getting into the Paradise Island meeting debriefing. Funny how this time, the anime has a more detailed map of the island. Up close, this seems to be the most detailed version you've gotten yet. This shot from underneath makes no sense, but still, enjoyed the view from down under. The only change up here was anime Reiner leaving out the comment about the ships, Marley losing 32 ships total. A new addition to the scene is now Porco visibly pissed off. This Marley leader dude was much more of a dick in the manga. He tossed out a line about expecting Eldians to at least be able to hold a conversation, to which Reiner quickly apologized. Next up, outside, the anime skipped over Pieck wondering what would happen to Eldians from now on. Getting into over a page the anime cut. This was right after the warriors saw Falco's win. Colt actively voiced how there was no need to make Falco into a Titan, to which Zeke questioned whether he was disrespecting that honor. Colt quickly apologized. Zeke then called him to come over, time to play some catch. It was really just Zeke mentoring the Beast Titan over his throw technique. Switching over to Gabi and friends. You're finally getting the two guards the anime previously skipped over, although their former lines didn't return. Go Gabi, use Skull Mash on Falco. Super effective. So at least anime Gabi finally got a good smash in. And my god, they really made Gabi annoying in the anime with all the screaming this episode. So I guess props to Mappa for elevating her annoying factor. As for Falco taking off, in the manga they did bring up where he was heading. Turns out the other warrior kids were aware that Falco was frequently visiting the hospital. For another Zeke cut, after Falco left, you actually got a panel of Zeke and the next Beast Titan playing catch. For an anime original scene, you got that weird scene of the black cat, the drunk dude, and his wife. This included Gabi getting a new bread scene. I do have a suspicion as to why this scene got added, so manga readers post below if you want to know my prediction, which involves upcoming events. Also, a couple of you did bring up the black cat, that this black cat was hinting at bad luck coming, and while I don't completely discount that, I will just mention the superstition doesn't really exist in Japan. As for the stage being built, this is looking much grander in the anime version. You really do have hundreds of people coming. For the warrior trio talk, a couple things the anime skipped over. They brought up how every country was just waiting to hit Marley when they were most vulnerable. It would also mention the fact that these countries were being invited into this zone, which may come off as an insult given how much Eldians are hated worldwide. For an anime improvement, freaking Gabi. Oh, you're so cute, right? I'm glad some of you recognize that familiar face. Careful, Falco. You might just dodge a bullet with this one. Switching over to the commander and Willie's talk, you got some details removed. Perhaps one of the most important cuts. It turns out it had been a month since the commander had taken up Willie's request, which means a good amount of time had passed. The commander was more explicit about Willie being in control of the Marley nation, to which Willie denied this. He actually proclaimed that the nation belonged to the Marlians and Eldians. I do like the updated sitting position for both of them. They're now sitting next to each other, facing away. I will point out how the change up here now removes the slight parallel these two gave. In the manga, they visually look similar to Kenny and Uri from the Uprising arc. Switching to Falco and Mr. Kruger, you now have Eren looking all too pleased when he talks about moving forward and returning to his hometown. As for Dr. Jaeger making a cameo, just notice, you could actually very subtly notice his dark green gems too. Oh, and for a nice little detail, you could actually see the wheelchair dude in the background during their talk. You do have a nice view of Grandpa Jaeger's eye with a close-up. The anime actually added a couple of images that still haunt him. We got those hungry dogs next to the river, which is followed by the surviving Jaegers, Grisha and his parents. Part of me also wondered if Eren was picturing some of this, since he did get access to Grisha's memories. Oh, and you got to look at Dr. Jaeger in the past, back before this whole mess started. You ultimately have the poor dude breaking down next to this unimpressed grandson. There's actually two titans that immediately come to mind. One of them is from the Attack on Titan Season 1 opening, and then the Talking Titan from the OVA. You definitely know the blonde one was full of regrets too. Either way, the problem took care of itself. Time for some baseball, which is actually the same baseball toss from the trailer, only the lighting and background updated. Next up, party time. The manga actually gave you a far shot from the outside. You could see a bunch of carriages and Hilo standing guard. For the warrior kids, this got changed up a bit in the anime. You now have Gabi on plate duty and delivering wine bottles. For the Asian lady, you can now actually make out the design on her kimono, which makes that red stain look worse. From behind too, you got a good look at the App Store logo. Who knew that Apple was canon? During Willie's chat with his old buddies, you got a small cut of Gabi noticing it was Willie talking to the commander the day before. Moving over to the drunk fellow slipping up, you can now actually make out those pissed off individuals in the crowd. They're even more highlighted in the anime now. This includes that awkward silence of no one toasting with him. Then for Willie inviting his guest over to Liberio, Willie left out this zone being filled with demons who once destroyed their world. He was a tad more subtle in the anime. By the way, the shot of Willie with his hand to the chest was in the trailer. He now doesn't look as dead, and he's now at a side angle. Newly added for the anime, at the end of Willie's speech, you actually have an awesome full body view of the Great Helos. You may even be able to spot that his mouth is now closed. Next day, a little girl drooling. Reminds me of my sister. Outside you have Gabi looking in awe at the festival. This really makes it more obvious how the trailer just took the panels and gave it an anime look. In the actual anime, you do have all the extra elements expanded on, like the clown, the delicious food, and more. For Falco and his friends, come on, does anyone feed these kids so much ice cream? In the anime, you now have Porco and Pieck tagging along too. Originally, they were nowhere to be seen here. Getting into top 10 anime kills, you could feel their sad faces. Let's be honest, your wallet would take a beating too. First meal up, some berry bread? Even Porco got a freebie too. Is Pieck avoiding carbs? Second meal, a sandwich, plus Porco giving them a hug. The anime has actually been making Porco more and more likable. Meanwhile, Pieck is just posing for the camera. And then the best for last, so much cheese. This time even Pieck couldn't resist. You now have Gabi getting the classic messy look while eating. Reiner's even smiling. I think a titan just died in the distance. Anyway, heading to the actual festival with the stuffed Gabi. No surprise, the anime updated this to include Porco and Pieck. They're not keeping the other two kids company. Next up, post-credit time. Once again, the actual stage area looks much grander compared to the rather small-looking manga version. Since Porco and Pieck weren't already there, new shot of them coming up. You even have Porco being super buddy-buddy with Colt. Really, who the hell is this person? And what did you do with the Jaws Titan? Getting to Reiner going down the basement. This whole thing has really been redone from the manga and trailer going into the anime. No more CG steps, or even a focus of Reiner going down. Don't have a lot of time. They even left out Reiner opening up the door, although you can hear it. Even the trailer close-up was not used. Let me know if it was just me, but in the anime, Eren looks physically less menacing. He only looks like he wants to chat a bit. The anime actually cuts on Reiner saying Eren's name. The following line from Eren was, "Good to see you made it back home," which will probably be in episode 5. So, how much did you freaking love this episode? Best from season 4? Now that I've actually done this deep comparison to the manga, I think I'm even more pleased with the latest episode. The pacing was great, so many scenes got fleshed out, you got rich detail given. This really should be the structure for most season 4 episodes. The reality is that this episode covered about a chapter and a third, which means the situation may be uncommon. I think it's safe to say now that the anime was rushing to get to this point, the grand festival. Like I mentioned a few videos back, you could expect some episodes to cover more chapters and some less chapters. 2 chapters an episode seems to be around the average estimate. That is, if they want to get to the predicted chapter 122 stopping point. As for the biggest cut or change this episode, it may surprise you, but it really was from the Willie discussion. Unless Isayama has changed this in story, there has been around a month that's passed by, which means Eren has been working poor Falco for a good while. I'm really hoping that the passage of time is handled better for everyone, for anime-only people and manga readers. You're about to hit heavy flashback territory in a few episodes. The start of season 4 already had so many people confused. Manga readers will recall that infamous weird chapter, where stuff seemed to be rapidly happening in a blink of an eye. But if you actually sat down and worked out the timeline, it actually made sense. I don't see a lot of people doing that for the anime. For a fun bonus this video, let's talk about Willie and his voice actor, which is Kazuhito Inoue, also known as Blonde Kakashi. I can't 100% confirm it, but his voice does sound similar to Willie's speech from the Attack on Titan final exhibit. Besides still doing Kakashi for Boruto, he's also done Darkness's father, the boss from Mob Psycho, Professor Elm, and like a billion other supporting characters. And for me quickly touching on the Mappa cutting content from the anime, I will once again remind you that Wit Studio removed a lot too, especially from part 1 of Attack on Titan Season 3. My videos and the playlist for the Season 3 episodes are still up if you're curious. Don't forget, the start of Season 3 was put in a blender. But anyway, let me know if you're hyped for Mr. Freedom's chat with Reiner. And don't forget to subscribe, let's double this bitch. You got my best of 2020 anime and 2 special videos coming. Go ahead and catch the upcoming anime in 2021 and I'll see you guys later.